Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and this is the Walking Dead Q&A number 82. Alright, Deadheads, check out 81's Q&A. I'm doing 81 and 82 back to back as best I could. There might be a break in between them, a couple hours, but watch them both. If you only catch one, I'm uploading 2 Q&As back to back, so check out those. And I'm doing an update video on my comic, which is coming up maybe in a day or two, or maybe today if I can get it up. So stay tuned for that. Check that out. Let's jump right into those questions. When I was looking at these questions, I've seen 5 comments now where people are like frustrated their questions aren't getting answered. So I went looking at these 5 individuals who are like, my questions aren't getting answered. And I went back to the previous 2 Q&A videos. I spent like an hour out of my morning doing this. That's how much I care. I want people to have fun on this channel. Their questions were video topics I did. I did full video topics. There was 5 of you guys who were asking why aren't your questions in the Q&A. I did full videos on these topics. Guys, please, please, please look at the videos. And here's the thing, one of the person I even seen, they commented on the video. Didn't say anything about them asking this question or, oh, this is cool that you covered this. They commented on the damn video, so it's frustrating. If your question is repeatedly not getting answered, you are either falling through the cracks, and it will happen because I get so many questions and I can only answer so few, or your question has been answered repeatedly already and we just don't have time to re-answer that question, and I do apologize if that sucks. However, if you know you have a question that hasn't been answered, and we don't answer it in this video, just ask it again in the next video. It doesn't hurt to ask 2 or 3 times. I know one guy, the poor bastard, asked on like 8 videos. Finally he got answered. You know, it works like that. When you get so many questions and I can only answer so few, sometimes that's just the way it is. Anyway, let's now jump into the questions. Darth Negan. Will the group lose their weapons and have to find new ones? Yeah, you're talking about Negan taking their python and Michonne's sword and everything like that. I do believe that they'll probably just get them back. The only one I am not sure about is Daryl. Now keep in mind, Negan, even though he's about to kill one of them, he's only taking half their stuff and they're going to work for him. So I don't see why he wouldn't just unload the python and give it back to Rick, or the sword. Daryl's crossbow, though, I think Dwight's going to want that. So yeah, they're going to take that. So Daryl won't get his crossbow back. Deadhead 102. Do you think we could trust what The Walking Dead shows us after Sam saying "Mom, Mom," then next thing pretend like it never happened? Do you think they're showing us false angles with Negan in the finale? Man, those subs are growing fast. Yeah, we're gaining, man. Huge thank you to the Map family. We are gaining like crazy. Yeah, that's one of my biggest problems with, you know, the Sammy scene, and it's also one of my biggest worries with the Negan scene. Everything they have showed us, everything they have told us so far points to, they showed us scenes and audio that it doesn't match, it just doesn't fit, it's just random. Yeah, Negan does line them up. Yeah, Negan has that conversation, but there's probably more dialogue that is missing. They're probably going to show us the real scene in Season 7 that fits smoother. It's not chopped up. It's not, you know, because his Any, Mini, Miny, Mo's, if you look at it, he'll go from Rick to Abraham or some shit like that. Abraham's on the right. Negan's walking left. They are chopping that up and mixing it around just to confuse us, and that is what I hate, because you have this realism, this flow, the continuity with the show, and just to fool us, just to keep us from knowing who gets killed, they need to chop it up, and we're seeing it how it never would. You can't walk this way if Abraham's over here and pick Abraham next. It's the continuity's fucked, you know, and it's not real. That realism that they've been crafting, that they have, okay, they've messed up a few times with the van drop and stuff like that, sure. But for the most part, they have stayed true to this level of realism that they have just decided without a care in the world to forget about it in order to trick us and keep us in the dark. And yes, it is a trick, because you would not need to chop up that finale, that ending, to keep us from knowing. That's a trick. You know, you're trying to trick us from guessing. You're trying to mess with us. I mean, it is. You could call it whatever you want. But if you went in and edited that scene out of place, if you took the scenes and didn't match the audio with how it's happening, and like I said, with Negan walking a certain way, if you jumbled those all up just so we wouldn't know, yes, that screws with the continuity, screws with the realism, yes, it's tricking the fans. That is your goal. You know, your conscious goal is to trick us, to keep us from knowing who the death is. I would have just preferred it if we saw it from Negan's perspective and did any, mini, money, mo, and didn't see him doing anything. Just maybe him or something. And then pick the one and bash it. Not with this whole jumbled... But I do love the bat to the face images, and that's why I'm so torn with the cliffhanger. Moving on. Mr. Shibby Mike. Do you think they might start Season 7's premiere with what happens to Eugene and build the tension up again? Listen, yes, they have to build the tension up again, but it doesn't have to be Eugene. They could start with Dwight. They can even start with Negan in the RV. What the fuck was he doing in the RV? Was he just sitting there with his bat like a dickhead, like a douchebag, waiting to come out of the RV? That's corny as shit. No, I would rather open up into the Walking Dead premiere, have Negan looking around, you know, maybe find a picture of them at Alexandria, the black and whites. You know, he can even smile or laugh or be like, fucking pussies. You know what I'm saying? Like something funny. And then you get a knock on the door, and he grabs his Lucille. Maybe he says something sexy to her, like, come on, baby, you know, something. Give us anything that's Negan-like. And then Negan walks out, the RV door closes, cut to the credits, or whatever you want to do there, and then build in another epic intro to build that tension again. And I'm talking only small things, getting right to the point. Chances are they could start Season 7 with something and build it all the way up to where the death doesn't happen until the end of the episode. That's absolutely possible. But I'm saying if you want to get right to the death, do that. Negan in the RV coming out. What was he doing? Credits. And then start build up with a black screen, go to audio with crying and sobbing and feet, you know, kicking rocks as he's walking, and then have Negan finish some of his dialogue, maybe add in some new lines, and then he does the whole I have an idea, you know, any, mini, money, mo, and we just see it play out. Just show it, because now it's what are they going to do? Do they want to keep it a secret up until he kills them? Because then they're going to have to chop it up again or start it a different way, because he'll have to pick somebody, bring them out. We're not going to see who it is until they hit him, or right before he hits them, and then it's going to be a shock. It's all screwed up. Here's the thing. I know people want a shock, like, oh, that's who they picked, but I want the horror in sitting in that moment and simmering in that horrific moment knowing who they picked. I want them to, you know, pick somebody that's going to hurt, like Daryl or Glenn, but pick them. Let us see it. And then have him call his men to bring them up. I want to sit there for a few seconds knowing, fearing, dreading I'm about to watch a character I love get brutally beaten to death. And I know that sounds messed up, but we're watching this show to get our emotions, you know, and our guts sometimes ripped right out of us, kicked around, and then put back in us, you know? So yeah, I want that. I don't want it to be a shock where he just picks someone and then boom. I don't want that. I want to fear it the whole time they're taking our character up to the batting, you know, whatever. You guys know what I'm saying. I'm moving on. All right, we have a mystery question here. I apologize, I cut off your name when I put the image up, and that's how I'm reading it. It was said that there was 2 versions filmed of the Negan scene, and then you asked if we are going to get 2 versions of all of Negan's stuff happening in Season 7. Yeah, you're right. That is not cost effective for the show. And no, at this point, I give up on having an authentic to the comic Negan. I don't think we're going to get a Negan who's cursing all the time, and that's because you can't do that. You can't, at least I don't think you can. You can't always film a scene having curses and then film it clean and show us the clean version on TV and then give us the uncensored version on Blu-ray. I don't think it's possible. I think it's fine for the end of Season 6, but to continue it all through Season 7, I think it's very problematic. It's not cost effective. And I know there's fans that don't like this, but I just want the damn authentic Negan on the screen. Mute the friggin' F-bombs. Just call it a day and give us the Blu-ray uncensored. And I know there's some fans that don't like that, but I don't For me, I'm not saying I don't care how you feel. For me, I don't give a shit if Negan's F-bombs are muted or what they do with it. They can do clever filming things sometimes, like have Negan show the back of his head where he's like, no fucking way, and then on TV, it's just no way, and then in the DVD, it's no fucking way. You can do that, and add the dialogue there. You could do little shit like that, but I just say screw it. Mute the damn thing. They do it in Better Call Saul when he called him a pig fucker, and I know the first time watching with someone, and they didn't even notice. The mute was so beautifully just muted, it was fine. I mean, I know there's a couple times where it was like, oh shit, but it's not as bad as you think. And I know what Negan is going to be like, mute sometimes. But at this point, I don't care. I just want to be able to put in my Blu-ray and watch it uncensored. But yeah, I do believe it's a problem. Emily Willem asks, if Lydia comes on to the show, why did they add Enid? Well, Enid most likely is taking up some characteristics of comic Sophia, and comic fans know that Sophia and Carl aren't an item in the comic. There could be a flicker there, something there, why not? But it doesn't mean Enid and Carl are going to become an item on the show. It really doesn't. There could be something that splits them up, sure. Enid could go and decide to live at the hilltop, and boom, whatever they created with Carl and Enid is now going to have a wedge driven between it, because they live in different communities. So I think it's fine to have Enid there, and Lydia. Lydia, for those who don't know, is a character that's close to Carl's age that might have a romantic interest in Carl in the future if they decide to do that storyline far, far in the future. Adam Burney, if the comics never existed and we knew nothing about the Negan death scene and no one knew it was coming, how would it affect the story in the future? Would you have been more satisfied with the cliffhanger ending? Has the comic almost ruined or spoiled the show in that aspect? For me as a fan, it kind of sucks knowing what's around the corner. I think if I didn't know what was going to happen with that Negan scene, I would have loved the ending much more and been excited for the cliffhanger. That's arguable. That type of cliffhanger? Possibly, However, I'm going to argue the comic spoils the show aspect. I disagree. I heavily disagree. Because the cliffhanger scene with Negan, if you did not know that was coming, if there was no comic, that scene would have a shock value moment of just a few seconds. Maybe let's give it a couple minutes. Negan shows up, you have no idea anything, you don't know anything about Negan. He shows up and you're like, oh shit, Negan's a real person. And then Negan's like, I'm gonna punish you, I'm gonna beat the living hell out of one of you. Now that doesn't mean kill, so we're like, okay, somebody's gonna get beat up real bad and that's it. And then the moment with the cliffhanger, you're like, he hit him with a bat. That dude's dead. Whoever he hit is dead. That's a few seconds of shock and awe and excitement, boom, and then it's done. That might carry over to the next season as you talk with your friends about how crazy that is, and that's fine, but look at the comic readers who they read Negan and the show's going on, and from that moment, for the next few years, the excitement is slowly starting to build. The closer they get to Negan, the more the excitement, it's on fire by this point we get to season 6. Knowing we go into the season finale, I think my excitement level for a TV show is at the highest it has ever been, and I mean by a lot. The excitement going into this episode, especially for the introduction of Negan, was just incredible. That never would have existed. That slow excitement for the past couple years, up until season 6 where the excitement was crazy, and then the season finale where the excitement was nuts. That excitement lasted hours, days, weeks, months. You see what I'm saying? If you didn't know anything about the comics, if the comics never existed, your excitement would have been seconds or minutes compared to days, weeks, months. You see where I'm getting at with that? So I will always stand behind the comic, even if you're not a comic reader. Read that shit. Because right now, if you're a non-comic reader, you don't know who the Whispers are. For the past year, I've been just excited to see them on TV. I'm not rushing it at all. I'll wait. That's fine. I want to see Negan. I want to see All Out War. I want all that to happen. But I cannot wait. Well, that sounds hypocritical, but you get what I'm saying. I am very excited for the Whispers to show up on TV, and that's because of the comic, and it exists, and we know the story. And that's where we're going to end it for this Q&A. I did split it up in two, so if you just watch this one, go ahead and check out the first part. And that's only because I tried to pick as many questions as I could. I don't want to keep splitting the Q&As up in two. We have 81 and 82, so make sure you watch both of those. Keep in mind the links for this very awesome print, everything is down there, and I'm posting an update for my comic, hopefully coming out this year, independent, putting it out myself. But look for that update because I got an artist who's helped me now, and I'm excited, really excited to move forward. So, thoughts, opinions, ideas, suggestions, predictions, and questions for next Q&A, put those in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.